This is by no means a comprehensive list of benefits of Youth Voice. What it is a way to generate conversations or get started about the benefits of Youth Voice. And these are just a couple things that I pulled out. There are not enough slides for me to talk about the benefits of Youth Voice. Having been a young person who got to exercise my own youth voice and become an adult who gets to support other youth in establishing and strengthening their own youth voice. But I will just briefly say I think that this is worth a conversation with other youth at the table for organizations to have. So one, youth are involved in decision-making processes. And the ones that have sustainable and positive impacts on the community. I don't believe that it's beneficial to youth or to organizations to try to ask them everything about what we do. There becomes a part of our work that really relies on whether young people have been a part of the decision-making processes. So, for instance, if they've had a great experience in an aspect of the programming, we definitely want to continue that. But if we don't ask them what their experience has been in those areas where we are trying to have positive impacts the most, so for programming, for example, then I'm not sure how we really continually improve the programming. So the other thing I'm saying about that is young people need to be involved in decision-making processes that involve them directly. And sometimes I think we can even craft opportunities for them to be a part of the decision-making processes that impact them directly. The key point here is that it's meaningful. The second point was that another benefit of Youth Voice is that young people adults can positively contribute to the identity of youth and build their confidence and their self-image in positive ways when we're asking them to contribute meaningfully to our organization and to the community. Another benefit is youth gain real-world skills and understand how to be a civic actor in ways that they may not even be processing as civic action, but it becomes how they are and how they see themselves in the world. Leah was talking about liking a piece of cycle of engagement and understanding that it's embedded. It's a practice that she has now and doesn't even have to think twice about. And then Youth Voice being a tool that allows young people to authentically engage. So that's not a one-time event necessarily coming because there's some incentive. It becomes, again, a realized piece of who and how they want to be in their neighborhoods and in their communities. I do see something missing that I would add, and I've been talking about this among colleagues for years, and that is that it's not necessarily a benefit voice, but it benefits our young people are recognized. I also mean recognized in the way of acknowledging their time in the form of incentive and compensation. And so when we ask adults to do things, we often don't have to talk about from that. I think a way to pull in young people is to say, there's a stipend, there's an honorarium, or there are tickets to a place that they enjoy. So showing value, and that not only direct benefits young people, but it benefits our organizations. I think our regarded in different ways when we're willing to acknowledge what people bring in a way that is very clear to young people. We don't want to just use you for your ideas and thoughts and this brochure, but we really want to reward and compensate you for the meaningful contributions that you make to our organization and to our community. So again, I'm going to invite Miriam and Aaliyah to talk a little more about the benefits that they've experienced in some of their activities, opportunities, projects, initiatives they've worked on, specifically in environmental ed. So whether it was at school or a part of a service aspect of what they do in the organizations that they're connected to, but what are some of the benefits that they have enjoyed as a part of the work?
I know for me personally, I'm involved in a lot of conferences and a lot of clubs at school, and one of them being a club at school, which is Mi Gente. We've lost our sponsors, so I had to take on the responsibility of finding other sponsors to join, and that gave me the benefit of decision making on my own without having people to tell me to do this or to do that. And we've had problems with trust within the group, so setting up a meeting with the new sponsors and having them listen to us, and we tell them how we're mostly an independent group and we like to tackle problems on our own. So that gave me a lot of benefit to do that.
I agree. That responsibility part,
Mm-hmm.
and then the recognition part as well.
Yeah.
For a lot of things that I think we do, I think we get proper recognition,
Mm-hmm.
and and like it's talked about later on,
Yeah.
which is also another form of recognition too.
Yeah.
Keeping the conversation going.
Thanks, ladies. I'm really excited to be getting close to turning this over to Miriam and Aaliyah, because I think they have a lot to share. I'll briefly go through the list of challenges of UFOID and then slide about some of the best practices. I think every organization should have their own best practices when they become serious about engaging youth in meaningful ways. And just a couple things to think about as you continue or begin to think about youth voice and how it fits into your organization or your work, is that we often can fall into a pitfall of inviting the young people before we understand how to meaningfully engage them in our work. And so one of the challenges is that sometimes our organizational culture and field is not prepared to meaningfully and embrace young people in a way that's relevant to young people. Power sharing. I can't say enough about that. Young people need opportunities and they need our support in being empowered and building their own capacities. Sometimes we're asking young people to show up at events where our funders are going to be, and we want them to say a couple words without thinking about how to prepare them for that, and also without thinking of, are there other opportunities for these young people to be involved in meaningful ways in our organization or our work. And having young people on a brochure or having young people in at a fundraiser or a video that pushes our agenda and doesn't honor who they are is not okay. And then there are times when we have inadequate scaffolding for youth and adults. There are a ton of other challenges of youth voice, and I'm looking over like, uh-oh, there are others. Do you all want to say anything about that? Other challenges that you've experienced when you were thinking you came in with youth voice or to represent young people and you didn't really have an opportunity to do that adequately or in a way that you wanted to do it?
I think part of it is like organization. I do think that it's important for adults to like be organized when they're trying to recruit us. I know that we should also be part of that, but also there's like a specific like things that we know that we should do. I think that's
So structure, having structure in place. So adding that a lack of structure is a challenge for youth voice.
Before you keep going, can you define how you're defining youth in this scenario?
That was Katie Nathan, folks. She's here in the studio. I know that's funny. My humor's so dry. So I am defining youth, and that's a great question. I wish I had done that earlier at 0 to 25, but really my work is more around middle school, high school. And so I'm probably focusing on those 6th through 12th grades when I'm talking about youth. How about that, Katie?
Perfect.
Okay. My last slide before I hand this over is really just a list of best practices for youth voice. Please add to this list as you have conversations and you think through your work and your organizational culture around youth voice. I think there are many more elements that have shown up here before, in the interest of time. This is a starting place, and so I'm suggesting that youth voice be balanced and equitable amongst young people and adults, that is collective, that there's diversity, effective communication, and I basically should have written the word listen, but you're going to see it again and again. That the adults and the youth, well, the youth have meaningful roles, and that it is, whatever it is, a project, an initiative, an event, the opportunity is mutually beneficial for all.